looking for 3 rifles stolen from an Indianapolis military unit. And tonight, our Call 6 investigators are finding those guns were stolen from a soldier who wasn't even supposed to have those weapons.
The Indiana National Guard admits the weapons were not being properly handled or even watched over. And now Call 6 investigator Stephen Dean finds this case of stolen guns is revealing problems with background checks for people in uniform throughout Indiana and beyond.
Well, those guns that were stolen were assigned to a convicted felon whose job it was to fire those guns. Now, policy should have prevented it, but we found 2 military officers knew about that felony, and they kept the Indiana National Guard in the dark about it, so the felon was assigned to fire those rifles. When veterans are laid to rest or casualties of war are remembered at big events like the Indy 500, the firing team of the Indiana National Guard is ready with its 21-gun salute. But the Call 6 investigators find this firing team put a rifle in the hands of a felon who's barred by federal law from possessing or handling a gun.
Left, face.
And it raises questions about whether our military is arming any other criminals.
It doesn't sound like it's being taken seriously.
It should be serious if you ask Larry Korb, a former assistant defense secretary in Washington. Here's why. We've learned several rifles like these have been stolen from the Indiana National Guard's firing team, where that convicted felon was among those firing the rifles. That felon was enlisted and handed those guns, even though the military says he disclosed his felony conviction to his recruiter and again when he was getting his security clearance. The Call 6 investigators found both times his felony was ignored, so the Indiana National Guard says it didn't know he was supposed to be kept away from weapons. Korb, a retired Navy captain and former Pentagon leader, says that recruiter was required to start a special process of added scrutiny for felons who enlist, and that just never happened.
The recruiter doesn't have to live with this. The people in the units do.
Police got a call in November to this East Indianapolis restaurant where firing team members were having lunch on East Washington. The guardsmen reported their vehicles were broken into, and 3 of their 8 rifles, M14 762s like these, were all stolen. As police started investigating, that's when they found the felon in the ranks. A search warrant filed by police shows one of the guardsmen was serving on the firing team despite a 1988 conviction for illegally selling guns without the proper display of a permit and a 1990 conviction for arson, a felony crime.
Anybody that has a felony should not be around weapons.
What if there are others?
While no practice is perfect, the Indiana National Guard does take excessive strides to be able to verify the background of the individual that is trying to enlist.
The guardsman with the rap sheet has now been removed from weapons duty with the firing team, but now Korb wonders about others with criminal records that the military did not screen properly.
It would be best to do more screening now and find out if, in fact, you've got people in there who shouldn't be there before you have another incident like this.
The National Guard says it has no plans to check any other members' backgrounds, but it did find the weapons were not being stored correctly when they were stolen, so the entire firing team was retrained on the proper handling of weapons. As for background checks, though, the Guard says it will take action if it learns there are other felons it doesn't know about.
We don't find this to be a usual situation. We don't find this to be something that we have found as a systematic problem throughout the Indiana National Guard. This is a one service member issue at this time.
Now, we were unable to reach the guardsman with that felony record, but he's not accused of any new wrongdoing. The Indiana National Guard says a review is now underway to determine if he remains a guardsman. They may get rid of him. Now, the Pentagon would not answer our questions about why felonies may be kept from the units that are handing out the guns. We'll be watching any others that may have slipped through the cracks, like this one did.
So the Pentagon is not talking? Are any members of Congress aware of this?
Well, 2 local members of Congress are aware of it, but they're not talking either. We reached out to Senator Dan Coates. He would not answer our questions. Neither would Congressman Andre Carson, and he's on the Armed Services Committee, but we're going to stay on this because the background check policy allowed this to happen. So we'll keep asking those questions.
All right,
We know
nice
you
work.
will. Keep us informed. Thank you.